Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, I'm opening the link.
Sure. Yeah. It's Madhya Lila, chapter 1. Madhya.
Sure, Prabhuji. The verse number, Prabhuji?
129. Text number 129.
Okay.
And it goes till 144 or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, ending verses 154, Madhya. 129 to 154.
Yeah, got it, Prabhuji. I'll start with prayers, Prabhuji. Om Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Jai Krishna Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Sri Chaitanya Jai Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jai Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Today we are reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, chapter 1, from text 129 onwards. 129. After Ramananda Raya's arrival, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon Kasi Misra and met Pradyumna Misra and other devotees. At the time, three personalities, Paramananda Puri, Govinda and Kashishwara, came to see Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. 130. Eventually, there was a meeting with Swarupa Damodara Goswami, and the Lord became very greatly pleased. Then there was a meeting with Sikhi Mahiti and with Bhavanananda Raya, the father of Ramananda Raya. 131. All the devotees from Bengal gradually began arriving at Jagannath Puri. At this time, the residents of Kulina Grama also came to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for the first time. 132. Eventually, Narahari Dasa and other inhabitants of Khanda, along with the Shivananda Sena, all arrived, and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met them. 133. After seeing the bathing ceremony of Lord Jagannatha, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleaned Sri Gundicha temple with the assistance of many devotees. 134. After this, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees saw the Radhayatra, the car festival ceremony. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself danced in front of the car, and after dancing, he entered a garden. 135. In that garden, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy upon King Prataparudra. Afterwards, when the Bengali devotees were about to return home, the Lord gave separate orders to almost every one of them. 136. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired to meet all the devotees of Bengal every year. Therefore, he ordered them to come to see the Radhayatra festival every year. 137. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was invited to dine at the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. While he was eating sumptuously, the son-in-law of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya criticized him. Because of this, Sati's mother cursed him by praying that Sati would become a widow. In other words, she cursed her son-in-law to die. 138. At the end of the year, all the devotees from Bengal, headed by Advaita Acharya, again came to see the Lord. Indeed, there was a great rush of devotees to Jagannath Puri. 139. When all the devotees from Bengal arrived, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allotted them residential quarters, and Shivananda Sena was put in charge of their maintenance. 140. A dog accompanied Shivananda Sena and the devotees, and the dog was so fortunate that after seeing the lotus feet of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it was liberated and went back home, back to Godhead. 141. Everyone met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi. 142. After arriving at Jagannath Puri, all the Vaishnavas met with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Later, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sported in the water, taking all the devotees with him. 143. First, the Lord washed the temple of Gundicha very thoroughly. Then everyone saw the Radhayatra festival and the Lord's dancing before the car. 144. In the garden along the road from the Jagannath temple to Gundicha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed various pastimes. A Brahmana named Krishnadasa performed the bathing ceremony of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. 145. After dancing in the Gundicha temple, the Lord sported in the water with his devotees. And on Hera Panchami Day, they all saw the activities of the goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi. 146. On Janmashtami, Lord Krishna's birthday, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu dressed himself as a cowherd boy. At the time, he carried a balance with pots of yogurt and wheeled a rod about. 147. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to all the devotees from Gaudadesha and continued chanting with his intimate devotees who constantly remained with him. 148. To visit Vrindavana, the Lord went to Gaudadesha. On the way, King Prataprudra performed a variety of services to please the Lord. 149. On the way to Vrindavana via Bengal, there was an incident wherein some cloth was exchanged with Puri Gosani, Sri Gosani. Sri Ramananda Raya accompanied the Lord as far as the city of Bhadraka. 150. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Vidyanagara, Bengal, on the way to Vrindavana, he stopped at the house of Vidya Vachaspati, who was the brother of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. When Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu suddenly arrived at his house, great crowds of people gathered. 151. For 5 consecutive days, all the people gathered to see the Lord, and still there was no rest. Out of fear of the crowd, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left at night and went to the town of Kuliya, present-day Navadvipa. 152. Hearing of the Lord's arrival in Kuliya Grama, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him. 153. The specific acts performed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at this time were his showing favor to Devananda Pandita and excusing the Brahmana known as Gopala Chapala from the offense he had committed at the lotus feet of Srivas Thakura. Text 154. Many atheists and blasphemers came and fell at the lotus feet of the Lord, and the Lord in return excused them and gave them the love of Krishna. Text 155. When Sri Nrisimhananda Brahmachari heard that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would go to Vrindavana, he became very pleased and mentally began decorating the way there. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you, madam. So this section is all listing of the different pastimes. So we'll not discuss so much because they'll all be elaborated in the coming up chapters. But we'll go through the brief context and some of the elements what are we hearing here. So, so basically, we remember we are in the Madhya Lila first chapter only. The whole Madhya Lila has like 25 chapters. And Madhya Lila is like 3-4 books, I think, if I remember correctly, out of the 9 volumes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. This is the major portion of the Chaitanya Charitamrita set. Now, initially, he starts to describe, remember, because Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami was not sure how many days he's going to live, how many weeks he's going to live, how many months, how many years he's not sure, because it is a very advanced age. So because of that, he wanted to summarize the Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pastimes briefly. So he summarized the entire Madhya Lila, and then in the next chapter, he summarized the entire Antya Lila also. First 2 chapters are like summary, basically. Now, after this done, then he goes to describe each of the pastimes in detail like that. So now let's go through some of these things. So first chapter, so in the previous verse, now we're at 129 verse, right? Before this, when it around 91 verse onwards, he started the synopsis of the Madhya Lila. That's where we are here. So now, first past tense that he described in the 3rd chapter later on are described in the first few verses. Basically, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu first attempt to go to Vrindavan after he took sannyas. That we briefly heard how Mother Sachi served him with food that she cooked at Advaita Acharya's home, like that, when Nityananda Prabhu diverted him to go to Advaita Acharya Prabhu's home instead of going to Vrindavan, like that. And then Sachimati requested him to go to Jagannath Puri. Then we heard some verses that describe about Lord's journey to Lord Chaitanya's journey to Jagannath Puri. That will be elaborated in Madhya Lila 4th and 5th chapter. And then we discussed briefly about meeting with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, that will be elaborated in 6th chapter. And then last session, we discussed about how Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went on a South India tour and he met different devotees. He went to Tirupati, we heard. He went to, he saved his servant Krishnasa from Bhattaharis, like that we heard. So like that, several pastimes, including he went to Srirangam, like that we heard. All those pastimes were in South India tour. Those will be elaborated in 3 chapters, 7th, 8th, 9th chapter. So now the section we are in is the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya within Jagannath Puri. That is the section we are in now. That is actually elaborated in 6 whole chapters, Madhya Lila 10th chapter to 15th chapter. Hopefully, this gives a broad brush of what is coming in store for us. So we can look forward to those pastimes, that description that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is going to give now. So in the last session, when we started Jagannath Puri pastimes, we first heard about how Lord Chaitanya saw Jagannath deity in the Jagannath Snana Yatra. And then after that, because Jagannath is not visible, he was feeling separation from him. And how he went to Alalnada temple, like that we discussed. And how he started doing Sankirtan there. Then just last couple of verses was started to describe about Ramananda Rai. How Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Rai during the South India tour. And he asked him to resign from the post, and he did follow that instruction, and he resigned and came back here. And Lord Chaitanya allowed the association of Ramananda Rai so much, like that we discussed the last 2 verses in the last session. Now continuing from there, still let's talking about Ramananda Rai. So here Ramananda Rai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bestowed his mercy to other personalities also after Ramananda Rai came. Who are the other personalities? Details will be given in the later chapters, in the 10th to 15th chapters. But he gave mercy to Kashi Mishra and then Pradyumna Mishra and other devotees, it seems. So 3 other devotees came to visit Lord Chaitanya at Jagannath Puri. Who are they? Paramananda Puri, Govinda and Kasishwara. We'll hear more about them. Govinda actually becomes a personal servant of Lord Chaitanya. Later on, we'll find out. So now text 130. Still we are hearing the past tense in Jagannath Puri. So now 130, then he met the another intimate associate. His name is Swarupa Damodar Goswami. Remember, 2 of the primary associates of Lord Chaitanya are Swarupa Damodar Goswami and Ramananda Rai. They're like Lalita and Vishaka and Krishna Lila we hear, who are accompanying Radharani all the time. So then after meeting Swarupa Damodar Goswami, that's why Lord became very greatly pleased, it seems. So then he met another devotee, Siki Mahiti, and also father of Ramananda Rai, his name is Bhavananda Rai. So he met these devotees also. Then Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami describes how all the devotees from Bengal gradually began coming to Jagannath Puri. At that time, residents of Kulinagram also came to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for first time. So this Kulinagram, Prabhupada mentions in one of the purports that actually Navdeep was called, Navdeep was that time being called as Kulinagram itself. What is Navdeep today? That's first Lord our Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport. They came to see also. And then Narharidas is another devotee from Kanda, it seems. He came. And also Shivananda Sen. Shivananda Sen is another devotee who used to take care of devotees coming from Bengal to Jagannath Puri every year for Chaturmasa season we discussed. And Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met all these devotees who came. And then after seeing, if you notice, again, it's like going back a little bit, meaning first time he was described how Lord Chaitanya saw the Snana Yatra of Jagannath like that. Now what is being described is later on. Every year this is happening, right? So that's why it's coming up again. After seeing the Jagannath Snana Yatra, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed and cleaned Gundicha temple, because that's where the Jagannath will go with the assistance of many devotees. This whole pastime will be described also later on the later chapters. It's a beautiful section. We'll come to that. Basically, there are some lessons about how Lord Chaitanya personally shows example of a great leader, how he personally does the service himself also, and then he gives mercy to a devotee. I think that will come also today. Yeah, mercy to a devotee also will come like that. And then how he personally, how the cleaning of the Gundicha's temple is considered the cleaning of our heart as devotees like that. So then those things will be described later on in the later chapters. And then next verse is describing how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees saw the Rath Yatra. So this is a general sequence of events that happen every year basically. So what is happening in Jagannath Puri? So devotees come from different places, and then Lord Chaitanya does service along with them, and then they see the Jagannath Yatra. And what happens in Jagannath Yatra? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to dance in the front of the car, and after dancing, he entered a garden. Remember, this was already elaborated one time already. That how many there will be many Sankirtan parties will be there, and Lord Chaitanya will be in one of the Sankirtan party, Advaita Acharya will be in another Sankirtan party, Haridas Thakur will be in another Sankirtan party dancing like that. We heard already, but more details are coming up. And then he enters a garden. This garden is also special. What is special about this garden? It's called Jagannath Vallabh Garden. The details are not here. It'll coming up in next chapters. Actually, later after a long time, we'll get to that chapter. But nice past tense will come up. Jagannath Vallabh Gardens is there, and that is where the next verse is telling actually. Lord Chaitanya gave his mercy to Prataprudra. So the background of this is Prataprudra was a king. So Lord Chaitanya was following strict renunciate rules of sannyasi. So he was showing by example that sannyasi should not meet greatly rich people like that kind of thing. As an example, so because the idea Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was teaching is that concept that when we associate with materialistic people or just wealthy people, there's every chance that it can contaminate higher personalities like that. Of course, we know great personalities, saintly personalities, pure devotees, they actually purify the others they come in contact with. Not that they will be affected, but he's showing an example of how a sannyasi should be like that. So this is a example Lord Chaitanya is saying, but then there's a mature way of applying that same thing. In a current day, for example, if a great devotee meets a king or a president or something, it's not wrong. Basically, they have the capacity to not get contaminated by that association. Number one. Number two, through that incident, through that event, actually they're trying to serve Krishna. Because when they meet a great personality, then everybody will look at that organization, look at the what is this guy doing. So they will learn about it little bit. So there's every chance of preaching when we meet great personalities also. That's why we hear in Lila also, Prabhupada was enthusiastic to meet great personalities. And then even our present day, many devotees also meet great personalities also. Not that they make that as a life mission like that, not like that. But whenever opportunities show up, they utilize opportunity for serving Krishna only. So it is a mature we have to understand it in mature way, these principles. So now, so then basically he was initially not meeting with Prataprudra. We'll see the details in that chapters later on. But then King Prataprudra actually sings Gopi Gita, that verses, and then also Tavakadamritam Tapta Jivanam, that verse is there. Those verses she sings. And also he comes in a humble dress of a Vaishnava, and then he sweeps before Jagannath Radhayatra, Radhakat. So all these things will make Lord Chaitanya give mercy to him, because all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya gave mercy to Prataprudra. So he gives mercy to him finally in this garden. That is the context of this statement here. So then, when the Bengali devotees were ready to return back to home after the Chaturmasa, then Lord Chaitanya gave separate orders to almost every one of them. So this is interesting in two different ways. One is Lord Chaitanya is personal and gave individual attention to each devotee. That's one glory of Lord Chaitanya here being described. That is not like I give a general instruction and that's it. Not like that. He gave specific instruction to them also. That's one thing. Second thing is, uh, that will show up in the past times coming up later on, that he gave, based on the nature of particular devotee, he gave say different instruction to some of them. For example, some of them he said, stay in the grihastha ashram. Some of them he said, take sannyas ashram. Some of them like that, they gave different orders based on the particular personality, what service they are suitable for, and what is their nature, like that. That's another thing we see. So that way, even when we see things like this, we should also understand in our life, speech master can give totally different instructions to two devotees who may be initiated at the same time, who may be living at the same place. All those things are possible. But he can give totally different instructions to two devotees based on what he thinks is beneficial to that particular devotee, like that. So when we should not compare the specific instructions or specific ways spiritual master is dealing with one devotee versus another devotee, because spiritual master has a different mood with a different devotee, and sometimes seeing our mood also, he adopts the mood also, because some are very casual kind of devotees also, some are very very respectful. So spiritual master generally respect the mood of the disciple also, so they act in that according to that mood also. So, so that's why we should not compare how is it. He is my speech master is talking to him like this, talking to me like this. He gave instruction like this to him, but not to me like this, like that. So we should be very careful in any kind of judgments around speech masters' behavior or giving instructions like that. Speech master is the best. He knows the best for each of us. Now, in the 136 verse, um, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like this, used to meet all the devotees of Bengal every year. Actually, there's a wonderful, wonderful pastimes coming up in that chapters. How he receives each devotees personally. He actually, how he anoints them with sandalwood paste, how he gives garlands to them, how he makes personally arrangements for their stay, like that. Lord Chaitanya, Supreme Lord, doesn't have to do that. But he is showing by the example of mode of service and how we need to serve Vaishnavas. The details will come up later on. Then, like that, he actually asked them to come. We heard last session also, I think, that he ordered them to come to see Radhayatra festival every year, like that. I think we could do 154, I think, right? Let me go there. Then, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, now he's going to another pastime. Let me see, I think this is not in Jagannath Puri anymore. Let me see, 137. Oh, this is also in Jagannath Puri, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya home. Okay. So he was invited by Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya one time to his home to eat a meal. So, generally, one of the things we see in Chaitanya Charitamrita later on is, whenever this such events happen, where Lord Chaitanya comes to dine at someone's home, actually the whole menu is described, and sometimes even recipes are also given, what they cooked and how they cooked, like that, in a brief way, of course. Then, so Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, and also another common theme is the devotees like to feel Lord Chaitanya a lot of amount, like that. And Lord Chaitanya used to honor them. Actually, that's an opulence is exhibiting, meaning that much quantity a normal person cannot have at all. Because, for example, we have some food, we can eat 2 plates of food, for example, 2 plates of prasadam. After that, we're done. Even if somebody gets the favorite dish we have, we'll say, I'm totally done. I'm going to roll on the ground. I cannot eat anymore. But even through these pastimes, Lord Chaitanya exhibited his supremacy, actually. We'll see those details later on, how to understand these pastimes properly also. However, somebody who doesn't have devotion, like in this case, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's son-in-law, that means his daughter's husband. So his name is Amoga. It's not described here, but pastime will come later on. So he's the husband of his daughter, Sati, like that is described in this verse. So his name is Amogra. So he happens to see Lord Chaitanya eating food in their home. Then he criticizes him. Oh my God, you're a sannyasi. How come you're eating so much? Like that. So that is considered blasphemy, like this kind of things. Blasphemy means criticism, like that. So this blasphemy, when he criticized like this, then actually, even though he is son-in-law only, Sarvam Bhattacharya's wife, she cursed that her son-in-law would die like that. Normally, uh, our son, daughter, or anybody related to our daughter and son are very dear to us. Usually we are very attached to them. First of all, we are attached to family members. We are attached to everybody who's related to them like that. But here we see the love that Sarvam Bhattacharya's wife also had for Lord Chaitanya, love and devotion, that she could not tolerate that her son-in-law is criticizing, and she gave the curse like that. We'll actually find out more in this description. Here is, remember, this is a summary of like whole chapters like that, right? So we're not seeing the details here, but later on, actually, Lord Chaitanya gives the mercy to that son-in-law also, because he's related to a devotee like Sarvam Bhattacharya. So that's another merciful nature of Lord Chaitanya. We'll see in that past time also. When he's about to suffer so much, when he's suffering so much, he relieves him from suffering, Lord Chaitanya. Then, at the end of the year, all the devotees again came to see the Lord, like that is described. So, what this means, end of the year, is every year for Chaturmasya season they're coming. Like, for example, now we're in Chaturmasya season, right? So now we're in the first month of the Chaturmasya right now. So some devotees follow like not eating leafy vegetables like that in this month. Next month it is not eating yogurt. Following month is not drinking milk. Following month is not eating urad dal, like that. Of course, each devotee practices at different level, but the principle for Chaturmasya is uh, increasing our devotion somehow, and that can be uh, to do that, reducing our sense enjoyment or sense gratification also. Those are the main principle behind Chaturmasya. So, depending upon our capacity, we could do what we can, but the main principle is that increasing our devotion service, reducing our sense gratification. And many devotees, if they're not able to do whole Chaturmasya, at least the Kartik month, which is the most special month, they do something extra. So we can start thinking about Kartik month. It's coming up in October. It feels like several months away, 3 months away, but it will come up soon. We can start thinking about how do we spend more time in devotion that time. What can we do? What kind of vows we can take, like that. So we can think about it and plan for it. So that's about Chaturmasya. So now, yeah, we talked about this. Every year they're coming to Jagannath Puri. Then when all the devotees came to Bengal like that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu allotted them residential quarters. This is the one I was mentioning earlier. Yeah. And Sivananda said, was put in charge of their maintenance. See, it's not just, okay, somebody has come, okay, let them figure out where they're going to stay, let them figure out where they're going to eat. Not like that. He ensured somebody is taking care of them. So even though this is one quality of a responsible person, whether it's a devotee or not, responsible person is, he ensures the right things are done somehow. That means people are taken care by someone, at least, if we are not able to personally take care like that. And then this is describing how one dog was accompanying Shivadana Sen and devotees were coming from Bengal to Jagannath Puri, how he's delivered by Lord Chaitanya like that. And then Lord Chaitanya met Saroma Bhattacharya on his way to Varanasi again, like that is being described. And then, yeah, Lord Chaitanya actually sported them with the Jagannath devotees who came to Jagannath Puri, it seems, in water. And then that is one thing being described here. There are some past tense also described in later chapters on that. And then when he's washing the Gundicha temple, um, he watched the Gundicha temple is being described, and everyone saw the Jagannath Rath Yatra, and they saw Lord Chaitanya dancing before the Jagannath Rath Yatra cart. That is a special feature. And then again, the Jagannath Garden being mentioned here, that how Lord Chaitanya performed various pastimes like that. And then how Krishnadasa, Lord Chaitanya gives special mercy to Krishnadasa during the uh, Gundicha Marjana pastime, where he drinks from his water that is washed his lotus feet like that. Lord Chaitanya doesn't allow it normally, but he allows for this devotee to get some mercy like that. We'll see. And then water Hera Panchami. This we were hearing some other day. Basically, Lakshmi Devi. This is the pastime where the Lakshmi Devi comes for Lord Jagannath to come back to temple, it seems. So that pastime is elaborately described. We'll hear that more about in that chapter also. And then Lord Chaitanya dressed himself as a cowherd boy, it seems, after Janmashtami, on Janmashtami day. And then he also carried a balance, that carrying thing that has parts of yogurt and a wheeled rod about. That means India, olden days, they used to carry with a rod and two sides, pots will be there and either side of the rod like that. That's what they're describing here. And then Lord Chaitanya gave nice farewell to all the devotees of Bengal and continued chanting with his intimate devotees who constantly remained with him. That means some devotees always remained in Jagannath Puri, whereas some devotees used to come for Chaturmasa and go back. So for the devotees who were staying with him, he used to engage them with them intimately, like Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Rai, like that examples. Then 148. This is going back to Vrindavan thing. To visit Vrindavan, Lord went to Bengal, it seems. Let me pull up that section in Chaitanya Subodhini to confirm what is section. Yeah. Apparently from next verse, 148 verse onwards, this is the second attempt from Lord Chaitanya to go to Vrindavan, it seems. That's in Madhya Lila, 16th chapter, it seems. So basically, Lord went to Bengal first before going to Vrindavan. And on the way, Pratapradya Maharaj, who's the king there, he performed various services to please Lord Chaitanya. And then Lord Chaitanya exchanged the cloth with Puri Goswami, it seems. I don't know much about this devotee. We'll find out more later in chapters. And Sri Ramananda Rai accompanied the Lord for some distance till Bhadraka city, it seems. And then this is another wonderful pastimes coming up. Basically, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reached Vidyanagara on the way to Vrindavan, it seems. And then there he met Sarvam Bhattacharya's brother. His name is Vidya Vachaspati. Then lots of crowds of people used to come wherever Lord Chaitanya used to go, it seems. That's what is being described here. And then for 5 consecutive days, people are coming to see Lord Chaitanya. And still there was no rush. That means everybody is still coming. So then, out of fear of the crowd, because Lord Chaitanya did not want to attract attention towards him, so Lord Chaitanya left at night time, it seems, and went to town of Kulia, present day Navdeepa. This is the purport where Prabhupada says that time Kulia is now Navdeepa, like that. And there are not many purports in this section, only translations, very few has purports. Then when people heard that Lord Chaitanya came to Kuliagrama, which is Navdeepa now, many hundreds of thousands of people came to see him, it seems. And not only they come and see him, but they actually get the Krishna Prema when Lord Chaitanya interacts with them, like that. So then specific acts perform. Yeah, what did he do? Some specific things at that time. This we heard briefly in another chapter previously in Adlila, that how he excused everybody who made offenses in doing this visit towards when he's going towards Vrindavan second time. So he excused the Devananda Pandit, he excused Gopal Chapala from their offenses that they committed, like that. So then, last one for many atheists and blasphemers also came. So not only sometimes they were devotees and they made offense, not like that. Even some atheists and blasphemers, that means they criticized Lord Chaitanya and other devotees before. But when they fell at Lord Chaitanya's Lord's feet, Lord Chaitanya was very merciful and he excused them and gave them Krishna Prema, even those people. So that is why we call Lord Chaitanya as most munificent incarnation. Namo Mahavadanya. That's what Krishna Prema Pradate. He gives the Krishna Prema to everyone. So that's why we call him like that, most munificent incarnation, Namo Mahavadanya. So that's the beauty of Lord Chaitanya's mercy. We'll continue more. This section is big for 16th chapter, where Lord Chaitanya is making second attempt to go to Vrindavan, it seems. So we'll pause there. Sri Chaitanya Chaitamrita ki jai, Krishnadas Goswami, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Let's offer obeisance to devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kupasindubhyevacha Paditana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you so much, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.